Hi, I'm Elise Gilligan, and I'm here with Ascend the Hill, and they are a worship band out of Tampa, Florida. And just to get our viewers and listeners acquainted with you guys, can you tell us a little bit about how you all met and became Ascend the Hill?
Sure. Well, I'm Joel, and
I'm Hayden. I'm Seth.
I'm Jonathan.
I was the worship pastor at my church for about 6.5 years in Tampa, and we used to host camps and conferences and things that churches from all across the Southeast would come out to, and I started getting calls to go do worship events from time to time, and just whatever friends available would go. And in October of '08, I guess we did our first tour. I got asked to do worship for a conference in New Jersey, and all of these guys, with the exception of Hayden, were with us on that first tour. And it just seemed like it was a better idea than just, a bunch of guys playing music, and the vision became bigger than just mine. And we did our second tour in February of 2009, went into the studio and recorded the first record, and God gave us a name, and yeah. But I think we've all known each other for a really long time. Well, Seth's my brother.
Okay, didn't know that one.
Since birth.
Cool. That makes sense.
Not my birth, but his birth. Yeah, and Jonathan, we didn't have a drummer one weekend, and I called a friend. I said, we need a drummer for this weekend who can play but can also flow, in worship, and that's how we got his number. And
yeah. You mentioned God gave you the name. Can you tell me a little bit about the origin of Ascend the Hill?
Someone want to tell that story?
Yeah, John.
We're part of an organization called Come and Live.
Right.
And we were at Chad Johnson, the founder of Come and Live's house. And it's, is it February? So in Nashville, Tennessee, freezing cold. And Chad's like, hey, you guys want to take a hike? Just a little stroll up a hill, top of this mountain. It'll be awesome. And we're like, yeah, sure. So we go to attempt to do that. And literally we're on a 45-minute to an hour trek up this mountain, not hill, or it's not a stroll for sure. And, we're all in Toms and stuff and just not ready for cold weather. Anyways, making a short story long, we get up to the top of the hill and just have some really intense prayer time, and just good stuff like confession and just really iron sharpening iron type of stuff. And we were praying, and God just dropped the name, I think it was to Joel. And he was like, hey, what do you guys think of Ascend the Hill? And it was a unifying time for the band to be up there. And that's actually when we, officially were like, okay, we're a part of Come and Live anyways. And so the ministry focus was there at that point too. And then obviously we were on top of a hill.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of that's perfect. But then obviously the Psalm 24, who can ascend the hill of the Lord?
Right.
Those with the clean hands and a pure heart. So.
Yeah. So you quite literally ascended the hill.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of bands, I feel like when they first start getting their name out, they kind of shy away from the worship label, and they don't want to be pigeonholed, I guess, as a worship band. But you guys kind of own the fact that that's the point of your music, is to point people to Christ. And you mentioned that it's the themes of restoration and reconciliation that you kind of cling to. So I guess I was just wondering from you guys how you arrived at those themes and kind of how you see them being fulfilled through your music.
Yeah, I'll let you take that.
I guess for us, it's not so much owning in or buying into, the label of a worship band, as much as that's who we have always been,
Right.
For us, and this isn't, just the right thing to say, and it's not to down any other band. For us, there's just no other motivation that makes it worth it in our lives. The calling that he's placed on our lives, we feel like to just be out there and be a band making catchy songs and trying to sell records and doing all that kind of stuff, it just wouldn't make sense for us to leave our homes and our families and our churches. And we feel like Christianity and the call of God on our lives to wear that brand is not just another hat that we wear. It's not just another role that we play. It's the foundation of who we are at the core of our hearts that transforms everything else that we do. And we were all created to worship. We were all created to live a life that brings glory to him. And, we believe that worship is more than just a song that we sing, that it's a life that brings glory and honor and pleasure to God. And for that not to come out in our worship, in our songs, for that not to come out in our touring or in our shows or whatever you want to call them, like, I don't know, it just wouldn't be worth it to us. And I was asking God late last year to really give us a sharper focus and a sharper point. And that's where reconciliation and restoration came about. And that's always been who Ascend the Hill is, and always been our focus, just not as pronounced in those two words. And reconciliation, Jesus entrusted that message to every believer. He said, the message that you have to give to the world is you were separated from God in your sin, and Jesus has reconciled us back to God. That's reconciliation. Yeah. It's to reach the lost with the gospel of Jesus. And then restoration is a lot of what we do is in the church, whether it's on a weekend or a conference or whatever. We feel hugely called to the church, and God's not coming back or Jesus isn't returning for our songs or our music or our ministry. He's coming back for his most prized possession, and that's his church, his bride. And so we'll spend our lives and our efforts building and equipping and strengthening and lifting up the church and trying to restore that spotless bride for Christ.